are places where silence itself becomes unbearable. The forgotten shortwave radio tower, half collapsed and rusting on the edge of a frozen valley, was one such place. Locals whispered that its frequency never truly went quiet if you dared to tune between the static. You would hear something calling your name. Daniel had heard the legend since childhood. He knew the warnings, but the pull was stronger than his fear. One night, driven by loneliness and grief, he climbed the hill with nothing but a portable radio and his memories. That night, the silence of the valley ended. The tower rose above Daniel like a grave marker for forgotten voices. Metal groaned in the wind, its wires trembling as though straining to hold back something trapped. Daniel set his radio on a stone and began to tune. The static hissed, sharp and constant. Then, beneath the chaos, came a slow rhythm, like breathing. The fog thickened, wrapping around him like a living thing. His pulse quickened, and though the valley was empty, he felt the weight of unseen eyes watching from the tower's rusted frame. Static cracked and sputtered until a whisper broke through. It spoke his name. Daniel, his blood ran cold. The voice was soft, wavering, and achingly familiar. It belonged to his brother, Mark. The brother who vanished 10 years ago without a trace. Daniel froze. He hadn't spoken Mark's name aloud in years. Yet here it was, spoken back to him in the voice he remembered from his childhood. Then came the words that hollowed him out. "Why did you leave me?" The voice returned night after night. Sometimes it begged, sometimes it wept, sometimes it accused. Daniel began to live for these moments, clinging to the illusion of his brother. He stopped sleeping, his eyes ringed with darkness, his body withering from neglect. Neighbors whispered that he had gone mad, but he didn't care. The voice was his proof. He scribbled messages in notebooks, convinced he was decoding instructions hidden in the static. He felt closer to his brother than ever, even though the words grew sharper, crueler. One night, the static shifted. The voice grew clearer, almost human in its sharpness. "Come back to the tower," it demanded. Daniel's breath caught. It wasn't a plea anymore. It was an order. He felt the air around him grow heavier. His hands shook as he clutched the radio, his skin cold and clammy. He couldn't resist. With each step toward the tower, the voice grew louder, until it drowned out his thoughts. At the tower's base, Daniel looked up and froze. Through the fog, he saw a figure standing halfway up the rusted stairs. Its shape was familiar, the same build as Mark. "Mark," Daniel whispered, but the figure did not answer. It only tilted its head and pointed toward the top of the tower. The radio screamed with static, the voice repeating over and over, "Climb, climb, climb." Each step groaned beneath his weight. The air thinned, the cold biting deeper. The voice in the radio grew distorted, overlapping, not one voice, but many. They whispered in unison, their words tangled and frantic. Some begged for help. Others screamed. A chorus of voices. Daniel's legs trembled as he climbed higher. He felt the metal sway beneath him. The higher he went, the more the tower seemed alive, pulsing with a rhythm that matched the static in his ears. At the top, Daniel expected silence, but instead the static erupted into screams. Shapes moved within the fog, faces flickering in and out, mouths stretched in agony. He recognized some. Neighbors, strangers, his brother. But their eyes were wrong. The voices cried out not for him, but at him. They accused, mocked, and begged all at once. Daniel realized too late. This wasn't his brother. It never was. The wind howled, shaking the tower violently. The voices united into one guttural command. Jump. Daniel's knees buckled. He tried to resist, clutching the railing until his fingers bled. But the fog thickened, pushing against him like invisible hands. His brother's face appeared one last time, smiling as it whispered, "Join me." The valley echoed with a single scream, then silence. The red light of the tower blinked once more and went dark. The next morning, the town woke to find the tower abandoned. No sign of Daniel, only his radio left behind, still tuned to static. Those who dared to turn it on swore they could hear him whispering from the other side. "Why did you leave me?" Even now, years later, travelers who wander too close to the valley speak of hearing faint whispers on the wind. Some say the tower is dead. Others swear its frequency still calls. Searching for a new voice to answer, the story lives on, not as a warning, but as a temptation. Because once you've heard the voice in the static, you never stop listening. This was the signal that never ends. A story not about a voice, but about obsession. About how the things we want most can be used against us. The tower still waits, silent and patient. The only question is, when you hear the static, will you tune away? Or will you listen until it calls your name?